Welcome back to the LCS Academy, powered by Verizon. I'm Mazel, joined by Joshi and Pyrotechnics again after a very interesting kickoff game, a very strong kickoff game from Dignitas Academy versus TSM Academy. And before we get to the conversation of what we saw in that game and what we want to dissect about it, we got to have a little bit of fun, all right? We got to have a little bit of fun. It's the first day of the second round robin, right? So we got something a little bit new, a little bit fun for you today, and it is called Chat Restricted. And here we're gonna force our wonderful casters, beautiful, wonderful casters, to respond to some of the plays from game number 1.
But I'm on level
emotes.
5.
No, you're not.
Well, hey, you're
I think
chat
I'm like
restricted today, buddy. Instant feedback report.
Toxic casters.
So,
oh no.
I have chosen some clips today. I've chosen 3 clips to be exact. And we're going to go ahead and play the clips. Now, you guys are going to be muted while these clips are playing. When we come out of the clips, you guys are going to have changed your faces a little bit. You're going to have changed to an emote that you would like to represent your reaction to the clip that we just watched. And hopefully we'll get a little bit of fun back and forth with that. And then I'll let you guys unmute, sell your emote a little bit, maybe, I don't know, redeem yourself to if you chose bad emotes. So let's go ahead and get into it. So if you won't mind, guys, go ahead and mute yourself. Get your emotes ready to go. Let's go ahead and pull up the first clip that I have chosen. I know Joshi's going to be a little bit spicy about this one. So it is none other than the Shenyi catch out. It has happened many a time. And I'm very excited to see the spicy emote that we get from Joshi. But it's just a short little clip. Just a short little clip. Let's see what Joshi's got. We got the Leona and the Angry Bee. I think they actually fit very nicely. I'll give you a moment to change. Do you have any other thoughts, or is it sticking to Angry Bee, Joshi? Is it sticking to the Leona? All right, looks like we're going to stick to it. Guys, do you want to go ahead and unmute? Oh, okay, it's just Angry Bee again. You want to go ahead and unmute yourselves and dissect why you feel this way? Let's sit down on the therapy couch here with Mazel. Do you have anything strong to say, Joshi?
You know.
You're not very Angry Bee right now. You're like questionable Bee.
I mean, if this was the only time it happened to Shenyi this game, you know, we might be able to go for something else, right? We've seen that Shenyi has not had the greatest stint in Academy, and unfortunately, this was only the first of, I think, 3, maybe 4 times that we saw Shenyi just kind of getting himself caught out, and so yeah. I just got to give him a.
It's the early game ones for me. Pirate, what's your Leona answer about, huh?
I have concerns, Mazel. Yeah. So as Joshi pointed out, this wasn't the first time it happened, and it wasn't the last in this game either. So I look at that, and that's the first moment that I'm like, okay, TSM,
all right,
not on the same page. I'm not angry yet, but I have concerns.
Not angry, just disappointed. But we're going to go ahead and go to the second clip if you guys don't mind muting yourselves yet again, or just not talking, either one. We'll go ahead and bring up the second clip, because this was, Joshi had a strong response, I would say. Both of you did. An interesting dive from TSM Academy towards top lane that ends up in Insanity cleaning house. You know, they do get 1, but Insanity gets a couple kills. A bit unfortunate. You got the Poro, okay. So, by the way, audience, I didn't disclose this before. I made them choose 4 emotes. It's not all emotes. So these are all pre-prepared. So we got the Soraka, this is fine, classic. And then we got the Poro friends. Is that because...
Look, the one on the right with his tongue sticking out is Tony Top, and the one on the left is Insanity. I got you, bro.
All right.
I got you. Right. Don't worry about it.
All right. Don't worry about it. I'll TP in and save your life after you die. Pirate, it's fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah, this is fine. Everything is fine. This is the moment that I think Joshi called out. This is great if you're Dignitas. And this is fine. Everything is okay. This is all right. You go for the dive. You got the kill, and then you died.
Right after this, they also got the dive on bot lane. So
they did.
I didn't want to put on like a 40-second clip, but it was a twofer for Dignitas.
Yep.
So All right, I like your guys' responses. I like them. I like them. I'm a little sad we haven't seen any like the newer age emotes. I know.
Look,
I know
I'm gonna
we
be
got-
honest. For
Hey
anybody
man, I
in
got my
Twitch
old
chat,
school on the wheel.
I do not play with emotes on. I actually have them disabled in my client, so I have included every single emote that I know, and there's 4 of them.
Yeah, you got to
just-
get on my level, Josh. I'm a TFT
I
player.
use
That's
the
the only way to
animated
communicate
ones.
with people.
I use the Soraka, the one that was like the hand in the head, and then the glasses Astro Bard, the one with
See,
the glasses.
I know-
shot. That was-
I'm sure Pyro knows what you're talking about. I literally don't know what emote.
I
will
will
have to show you
Josh,
sometime.
I'm gonna,
Anyways,
I'm gonna
let's-
spam you emotes after this.
Let's go ahead and go
okay.
to the third clip here. The last one that we have today. We'll get the last emotes. So I don't you don't get to choose all 4 of them today. Let's see. It was an interesting occasion in the bottom lane where the catch out from Tony Top attempted to happen. But this was a little bit of a long one because it also correlates into just like a random amalgamation of, all right, we're gonna come into each other. Ulti use. All right,
I
we're
feel
backing
like-
out. So
I feel like here, Pyro, you and I are on a very similar page. We are definitely emoting what Dignitas is doing as they just walk to the side.
Okay,
I love
it's
the
a great
random-
choice. I respect it. For me, I'm like, you know what? It's okay. I don't know
It's
what's going on
okay.
anymore, but they're gonna win
we still
probably.
win.
We have
It's definitely
something.
a-
Look, you can spend a
Oops.
Camille ult. You can have a little
Oh,
fun with
you.
Camille ult as a treat.
I just love the confidence that you see in that moment for them. He's like, I'm going. We going.
Yeah.
Hold on, guys. Hold on. let's back out.
Can I have the soapbox for just a moment? Because I do
Alright,
want
give me
to
a soapbox.
display how bad my emote game is. Because I saw this one, and it was yesterday that I realized that this monkey is not, in fact, crossing his arms. He is actually holding a
He is.
cup of cocoa.
He is. Wait,
This
how
entire
did you not
time-
know?
I mean, that
I
is still a
thought
great
his
image, though, I don't know
belly
what.
was crossing his arms.
Wait, what?
My goodness.
All
My
right.
goodness.
Well,
all right. You know what? I got one to show as well.
Wow,
So
that's
this is
a
what I
bit
want
of
to
a
see in
yikes.
next game. This is what I want to see
What do you
next
got?
game. I
All
want
right,
to
what do
see clean play. I didn't see that this time, but I want to see it. I want to see it going forward.
Okay.
I would
okay.
love that to happen. All the same, though, I think for
Well-
someone who doesn't use emotes, Josh, you picked some good ones.
I think you did too.
I
You
did
got
my
some
best.
standard ones in there. I liked it, but that was our first iteration of chat restricted. A little bit of fun to see what was happening in plays. I know you were probably happy to get a little conversation about the Shinyi catch-outs because it has been an interesting part of TSM Academy's early games that they have to bounce back from consistently. And I think talking about bouncing back and looking at this next game, it's important to
Segues.
call out the fact. Hey, why you gotta call it out? Come on.
Because it's funny.
Talking about TSM Academy's bounce back into this one because I think you saw some good things. Again, I would still like to see a little bit more play around the top lane and more focus that way. But when you look at the way they approach game one, you can like some of the pieces they got in the draft, Joshi.
Yeah, I really liked TSM's draft overall in terms of the champions they actually picked. I felt the Corki was a little bit odd in terms of how you actually want to pilot this composition, but the front-to-back core is still there. One of my favorite things when I see these kind of compositions is I have told people like Rafa I have 2 favorite parts of communication. The first one is when I'm playing Mundo or Scion and I walk into the team and go, they can't kill me, they can't kill me. My second favorite communication in all of League of Legends is when I'm playing a Seraphine or a Lulu and I go, they can't kill you, they can't kill you, get in there, stand in front of me,
2 forms,
stand right
that's
here,
it.
you can't die!
I like it. 2 forms is all you need. Well, we'll see
That's
if
it.
TSM Academy can harness those 2 forms. Maybe the aggression comes out from Dignitas Academy just right yet again. We'll see as game 2 is ready to go. So Pyra, Joshi, take it away.
Bye, Lennon.
Thank you very much, Mazel. So yeah, we're getting on to this one. And last time, Josh, you talked a little bit about the Warhammer kind of style. Placement, very, very important. I think that was the key that TSM did not have all the time. I am curious if they try for this type of composition again, or if they go back to basics, because I would love to see them finding all those pieces. What we won't see in terms of pieces, though, is Belbeth, because she's banned again.
Sad. No fishy so far
Yeah.
today. Maybe the twitch.tv/academy stream has been lucky enough to see some of this champion, but I expect it'll probably be banned until people have another week to scrim with it and kind of figure it out now that they've seen like, this champion is actually pretty good. But at the same time, I wonder if Dignitas feel threatened by the Seraphine, because even though they speed it up really effectively. They didn't do it in lane, and it was a lot of Dignitas playing the mid game more effectively rather than just attacking the champion.
Yeah, I agree. I think they played around it well, and that was the critical thing. Zeri obviously being banned by Dignitas red side, no surprises there as we continue to see a lot of bot lane bans. This is the second time Dig has gotten rid of the Senna, or excuse me, I think TSM got rid of it last time. So I am curious to see if they respect it. They clearly aren't worried about it for a ban, as they were much more worried about the Lee Sin, so it is going to be the instant lock-in. I don't think it's going to change in that bot side. That was something that Spawn and JJ had a hard time with in lane. But is it going to be TSM finding a comp that maybe works a little bit better to their style?
I mean, they obviously get the Wukong. Wukong is one of the best champions both against and with the Seraphine, so it's also just a very strong champion still on this patch. But the one question I have is, Dignitas were the ones piloting this area last game. And Zeri does quite well into Seraphine comps. Zeri loves these long, drawn-out fights that you can't really get on top of her. Instead, we're going to be seeing the Yasuo come through. We've been seeing more of this champion, and I see your eyes getting wide.
Yeah, I'm like, we've seen it come out, but not for Insanity for a bit. You got the Wukong to pair. I want to see a big old knock-up comp, and this is going to be so much fun for the Yasuo on the TSM Academy side. I mean, that's one way to try and shred through a bit of poke, a bit of stiff arming. On the opposite side, TSM going to look at their jungler, and I think we're going to see the jungles just swap around as there's a Trundle locked in for Hyper.
There you go. I'm a little bit surprised that Viego has kind of like fallen off a cliff in terms of his presence, but we do see that Wukong and Trundle, as you said, are shifting sides, and this is interesting. TSM are now looking to play a much more standard composition with almost a Seraphine tacked on. And oh my, I do not want to see Yuumi played, but I know it's a very good pick with Yasuo, so
I think it's going to happen. I think we might get the Yuumi Twitch. It might happen. We might get a... Oh, okay, never mind. We had a... What am I talking about? Rakan exists in this game and has a knockup. I think that's going to happen.
I would much rather see Rakan than Yuumi.
Yeah, I agree. JJ did a really good job on it last time around. We're going to get it game 2. So far, the Yasuo comp is in full force. Now we enter ban phase 2. So Dignitas Academy starting off there. What do you get rid of here if you're Dig? What are you trying to cut the legs off here? Maybe try to deny Soulless Tryndamere?
I think the biggest thing is you want to try and set up things that Yasuo is really weak against. And those are generally like big melee champions that are just going to dunk on you and dive on top of you. So you look at Soul, he's been playing a lot of Gangplank and Norn. Neither of these are particularly problematic. So instead, I start turning my attention towards what Shen Yi has been playing. Maybe you take away something like the Leona, you take away the Maokai, anything that has like a point and click ability to prevent Yasuo from actually playing. But Dignitas, they just want to get Soul on something less comfortable.
I think so. I think so indeed. So we see more top lane bans also thrown the Fiora. That's been pretty consistently removed so far as well. And the last ban for Dignitas, do they continue to focus on Soul? And I mentioned the Tryndamere. If they want to dive a little bit deeper into his pool, taking a look at some of the other champions he's had chances on. I mean, you talked about the Ornn. I don't think they're too worried about it. The Alistar knockup, that is an interrupt that they don't want to have to deal with. And definitely something that is in Shen Yi's playbook.
And it's also pretty decent into the Wukong, right? You take the initial knockup, you instantly ult, you find yourself back on the ground, and then you boot him away, and it's like, please leave. You already used your gap closer, you do not get to participate in the rest of the fight. And so the Alistar makes a lot of sense to me here, and now Dignitas, I feel like they are very clearly setting up a situation where they are trying to attack the mid lane. The Yasuo into Ahri isn't super exciting on its own, but when you pair it with a Wukong, suddenly at level 6, you have a target.
Yeah, it's massive. At the very least, a single target. You do not want to group for that on a comparison. And I think that TSM had read that this was not necessarily going to be a mid lane Yasuo as they banned the Azir away. And lo and behold, we do have the lock-in on the Sylas. And I feel like this could flex, but it seems much more likely the Yasuo goes topside.
It's something that Tony Top has not played so far this split, but we know he has put plenty of games on it in the past. And now I feel like this is going to be Insanity Sylas. It's a decent matchup into the Ahri, and it really comes online a little bit later. But as the Yone gets locked in, this is another new champion for Soul up in the top side. Lots of fighting coming through. We get to see both Win brothers in the same game.
I think so. Oh, this is going to be a great top side, and I definitely think we have to focus on that one as we get into the game. But we still have a couple of questions to answer. What are we going to see down bottom with a lot of stuff targeting towards the side of Shen Yi? Will we get another big, beefy stat stick? and it will be the Rel locked in here for TSM Academy. So what do you make of this 5-stack, Joshi?
I actually really like Shen Yu's Rel historically. When he was playing it in spring, he looked phenomenal on it. He was always able to find these big engagers, and with the number of melee champions he's going into, Wukong, Yasuo, Rakan, Sylas, they're all very short range. They're all likely to be caught in the Magnet Storm, and I feel like TSM, while the Seraphine is a little bit stapled onto this composition in a couple of ways, it synergizes really well. It's just incredibly powerful throughout these fights, and Dignitas, they're picking 5 melee champions. Yone, Seraphine, and Rel get to do whatever they want in this game.
They will, and that is going to be, I think, the Yasuo down bottom for Spawn this time around, so they're going to give that to him instead, as the orange should be heading up towards the top side. At least I think.
I imagine so.
I'm pretty sure. I'm like, there's some flexing, but I think that's what makes the most sense here. So it is going to be a little tough for Dig to try and shred through that front line of TSM Academy, but they do have tools to wombo up a few combos.
Yeah. And so, looking at Dignitas, we have been seeing this Yasuo kind of emerge as a Seraphine counterpick. And the primary reason for this is, one, there are 2 reasons. One, you have the ultimate. You get on top of Seraphine, and you instantly bypass all the front line. You have a gap closer towards the back end. That is not something that a lot of champions can provide. Secondly, you have the wind wall, right? Seraphine is the only person on the side of TSM that really has an ability that is worth wind walling, and it is the ultimate, right? Ahri's charm is like up there, but it's, if it lands on Ornn, you don't care, right? Seraphine's ultimate is the only one that you really care about, and so Yasuo has some tools to really play around this. Dignitas' composition is really cool, but it's a composition where if it gets ahead, it wins. If it doesn't get ahead, it just kind of loses, because it's a bunch of melee champions that get on top of you once and then can't stay on top.
Yeah, TSM are definitely going to look to try to not give those advantages. If they can lock up their early game, if they can play a little bit cleaner, we know that they have the tools to succeed and scale into that late game and at least keep Dignitas from getting a second win. If TSM get a win back on this one, they snap that losing streak, they can start to feel a little bit better as we get into this second round robin. For Dig, they're going to try early and often to get those plays. We saw it last time. It was a very chaotic, hectic game. And Joshi, I'm excited. I think both teams have decided, all right, gloves are already off. It got a little crazy last time. I don't think we're going to even have to wait for the action to get underway. That bot side, whenever I see like a bot Yasuo pick, I'm like, okay, this is going to be a spicy game.
That's always very exciting. But I do want to kind of go back to a claim I made a little bit earlier, as I'll let you take us onto the Rift.
All right, we'll get underway. I want to hear all about it. But game number 2 is starting up. We will be loading onto Summoner's Rift to see if TSM can find a win in the column to even the score with Dignitas Academy. Here we are, underway.
There we go. The claim I wanted to make, right? Dignitas are the gatekeepers. They have won most, or they have gone like straight 0-2 or 2-0 against most teams. And the teams that they have lost to, 100 Thieves, CLG, oh yeah, excuse me, 100 Thieves, Cloud9, and Team Liquid, those are all of our top teams. You have CLG and Immortals kind of sitting in the middle. They've beaten Evil Geniuses, FlyQuest, Golden Guardians, and TSM. The only one that really sticks out to me that is not like going straight across in terms of if you're better than Dignitas, you're a top team. If you're not, you're in the middle.
We're going to have to follow that a little bit later, though, because Dig immediately finds Shen Yi. It's going to result in no summoners burned, but they do chase him back for the reset.
That's good.
Yeah, I mean, they can muscle through the jungle, but you're right. Dignitas have been the gatekeepers, and the fact that they've even been able to split with everybody that's kind of sitting right there in the middle with them is something else.
Yeah. It's kind of wild to see like how these teams are actually kind of stacking up, but my bad. I wasn't actually looking at the minion up. I was still looking at stats, so I didn't see Shen Yi.
I mean, who could have called the 3v1 invade onto Shen Yi? I mean, I don't know, man. I told you they weren't going to have to wait, but I didn't think it'd be that
They weren't going to have to. So now we're going to pay a bit more attention, right, towards this bottom lane. I feel like Instinct versus Spawn is suddenly the matchup that we care the most about. If Spawn finds leads, if he is strong enough to jump onto Instinct during later team fights, it is a big opportunity for Dignitas to just run things over. But he needs to be careful that he doesn't get frozen on, right? They're double melee champions at the bottom side.
Yeah, that's a little tough to play into, and I really want to keep an eye on if they can actually set up early plays. You can see that Instinct's doing a pretty good job of like kind of dodging out some of the damage. Jay, of course, not the tankiest target, so this should be TSM having the opportunity to try and make plays for themselves. And as we mentioned last game, Trundle level 3 ganks, they are a thing. If you're talking about melee champions, it's a little easier to find those ganks where you don't have a gap close.
True, and Yasuo needs minions to actually dash through in order to have an escape. He's got his flash, and that's really it. But so far, they're doing a good job taking control of the early wave, but Insanity, he hasn't had his wake up yet.
No, not at all. Takeover punishing by chasing him away, and just dodges the orb that second time. That would have been extremely difficult to deal with. But he can't go back, right? He has to catch this wave.
Yeah, that's always a tough spot, right? We are seeing Takeover. Oh, but Hyper top lane.
Yeah, he's going to wrap around trying to bait Tony top out. You can see Soul playing a little low on the health bar, but it doesn't matter. The cutoff is there, and interrupted on the pillar burns the flash. That's nice and worth.
Yeah, good job on Hyper. So, okay, everybody knows that Ornn's E will destroy terrain created by the other side, but if that only checks at the beginning, right? If Tony Top throws out his E and Hyper waits for his E until after the animation from Tony Top starts, it won't break the pillar. So that is actually a situation where Hyper waiting on that does a good job, understands the interaction, and prevents Tony Top from just using that E as a free getaway and a free knockup. So Tony Top, you know, now that he is pushed back, doesn't have flash, becomes a very easy target.
Yeah, I think we could see repeat ganks up there as well, but Hyper's given himself options too. We were talking about the possibility to come down bot. I'm looking to see once he gets the full clear through. Both junglers, of course, mirroring, and I don't want to discount XU on this Wukong. It's been a champion he's had some success on. A lot of people have had some success on.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, it has been the ubiquitous jungle of choice, but meanwhile, Soul going in under Tony Top once again without that flash. Doesn't quite have the damage to take him down early. Yone pre-6. You know, not always the best, but I do love we got two Win brothers in this game, and they're going to be going head-to-head at some point.
Yeah, he's vibing. He's vibing. So right now, this is the situation that we were looking at. Instinct doesn't want to interact, but he's got to interact with XU.
Yeah, XU going to jump in onto Hyper, finds a little damage. There's a level advantage, but he backs out. Doesn't want to keep committing to it right now, as Hyper realizes wasn't going to be the freest gank in the world anyways. Minion wave pushed in now. And Instinct and Shenyi means that there isn't going to be too much of an opportunity to counterplay unless Spawn really wants to absorb a lot of minion damage.
Yeah, cool freeze coming through from Spawn and JJ using the wind wall to reduce the amount of damage you're actually taking. Forces Shenyi and Instinct to stick around.
It's pretty big. Even without the junglers means that they can't quite back to go for what they wanted. You can let that wave crash into them and maybe look for a play if they chase a little too far forward. Got to watch the poke, though. Spawn isn't the healthiest at the moment. And this does give Shenyi an opportunity to wrap around, try to grab some vision out. JJ is going to spot him, but there's not much he can really do to stop him here.
He can whack him.
He can. Whack him with the feather.
But it does mean that Instinct does get his back off, and Spawn and JJ no longer have a freeze, and as they teleport back, it's a good lane position coming through for TSM. They always want to freeze melee champions off, because melee champions can't farm, but melee champions, if they have a freeze, they can threaten to kill you. So the fact they stuck around and actually read the lane state correctly in order to prevent Spawn and JJ from freezing is giving them a freeze of their own. This is prime position for TSM.
Yeah, and we complimented them last time in lane too, right? Like really kind of knowing the ins and outs of how to play in the laning phase. It's that later stage that becomes a bit of a problem for TSM that we want to keep our eyes on. But so far, you know, Shenyi playing well out on the Rel. I know we criticized his roams last time around, but this is a champion you probably want to stay in lane a little bit longer for. Here comes XU up top. Oh. There's the knockup. Onto Soul, an Ornn pillar of his own. Here comes the call. The Forge God, and predicts nice with the flash. Soul with the fancy fingers.
Yeah, that was a pretty good flash, right? Nobody expects you to go right on back to where the Ornn ultimate came from. Dodges out, doesn't get hit at all. I mean, Soul's been one of our more interesting new rookies, and we'll see if it matters.
We will. Upper takes the whack from XU. Here comes Takeover. Chases Insanity off, and they turn their attention immediately over to XU to get the first blood, and on the Spirit Rush, Takeover looking for more. That's got to be all they're going to find right there. Wow. Well, indeed, I think. Shenyi does get that roam off to great success.
I'm a bit surprised that both supports just happen to be up here, right? There's no Rift Herald for the taking, but Takeover, we know, like, he's an Akali and Sylas specialist in particular, right? He is so good at these champions, and now showing up with the Ahri as well gives them an early lead. He has really been showcasing how good of a mid laner he is as he takes Insanity, who we said was just right for Dignitas, and preventing him from having easy opportunities to just win lane. Yeah, push him back. CS Advantage now has that gold lead as well. Now Shenyi and Instinct are actually waiting and baiting in this brush right now. Don't think they'll get the opportunity to make a play necessarily, but
such an interesting 2v2 lane, as you mentioned, kind of the back and forth between the two melees, and then a poke. Here comes the next flash forward.
Ooh.
As they won't find much back off of it.
Yeah, only level 5.
Yeah,
when the ultimate comes through for spawn, then they start looking really aggressive. Because this thing is level 6 now, and...
Alright.
Huh.
Soul is probably not wanting to be that far up. Also, Tony Top is really close to getting his flashback.
Yeah. Tony Top, doing a pretty decent job. But I feel, as we start looking at this like slower game relative to what we saw the first time, Dignitas will need to pick an opportunity to draw a line in the sand where they just want to take fights. I feel like they actually scale pretty well just on account of having both an Ornn and a Yasuo. But if you're playing 5 melee champions to scale, it kind of surprises me, right? You're picking melee champions mostly to try and snowball the game, and so far, Dignitas, I think they're mostly just waiting for level 6 to come through, and now they're rotating everybody up for this Rift Herald. Yeah, this is going to be started by XU, in fact, and they will also bring Tony Top, waiting just outside of vision on that ward coverage. So TSM should know this is happening. Here comes the channel from Shenyi as he hex flashes back to join the rest of his team. Seraphine kind of bringing up the rear here as they will look for the flank from Soul. And Dignitas know this is happening. Full vision, full knowledge as they go turn for the fight. Last breath. And how about them apples for a wombo combo? Spawn picking up one. TSM evaporating as Takeover and Hyper out of there. Shenyi hopping the wall, trying to get to safety as he will be able to get that blast thrown out. And, oh man, you blinked and you missed it. Oh man, that was gorgeous coming through from XU, finding the angle in, layering everything on top, and suddenly TSM, there's no way they can actually take that fight. Great stuff coming through from the Dignitas side of the map. And now we get to see why this composition came together. You want to snowball these mid-game teamfights, you want to take over everything, and seeing them already understanding their compositions gives me a lot of hope for how Dignitas can move forward. XU's flank from inside the Dragon Pit finds 3 people.
That was beautiful, and they even throw out the call. The Forge God keeping them pinballed up for days. Shenyi gets chunked, can't even go in. It doesn't even have Magnet Storm. Keep in mind, like, this timing window is brilliant right now. He's only level 5, and Soul just doesn't even have an opening.
I think one of the big things to know is we are seeing a similar issue from TSM as we saw in the previous game, right? They never really got in a position where everybody's standing in front of the Seraphine. Soul coming in from a flank means that he can't really do anything. He's forced to try and get play started himself while he waits for Instinct to get into position. And Instinct, you know, while he had an okay ultimate on multiple people, there's no damage to follow it up. And crowd control without damage is sad.
Yeah. It prolongs the fight, but it does not end it. So Dignitas claim the spoils off that 10 minutes on the game clock now, and we've got a dead even gold game, but critically, Dig have the Herald as an advantage and have priority down here on the side of the Dragon. So now Shenyi is still level 5. They've been set very far behind here. This is going to open up Cloud Drake opportunity for Dig.
Dignitas, their ults are on such a short cooldown, right? Xyz is coming up right now, and Instinct has still got a quarter of his cooldown left to go. This is a dangerous engage if TSM take it.
They don't opt to. They're certainly thinking about it. Hyper does get for the chase on, and they find the pillar, but it spawns here as well. It can actually dish out damage as well, but it looks like it's a bit of a flank. Dignitas, though, they turn it around. One more into the wombo combo. Instinct gonna fall shortly as he gets knocked up and cut off by JJ. Shenyi has absolutely nowhere to go, and they claim another 2. Dig, they're making it look easy here, Joshi.
Are you noticing a theme here, Pyra? Are you noticing the fact that perhaps Dignitas are preventing the Seraphine from joining up with the rest of the team, and the Seraphine doesn't do a whole lot in those situations? Because I'm noticing a theme.
Yeah, not standing in front of Seraphine is step 1 to playing against Seraphine. Not letting Seraphine join the team is step 2. Dignitas have done their homework.
They're doing a great job, right? We know Seraphine is one of these champions that's been showing up quite a bit in scrims, and Dignitas, they have fantastic answers thus far, not afraid of what TSM is going to bring, and now that they have this small gold lead, it should be able to compound itself, because I'm expecting more fights here very soon. Yeah,
Charm does land onto Insanity, but oh my goodness, with the Trundle ult steal, Takeover just gets sapped. And here comes Shenyi, a little bit late on the play, but he's not going to get punished for it. Helps the wall.
I was only slightly worried for Shenyi there, but the fact that I was worried at all is slightly concerning. But Dignitas, we're coming back, right? We're
Oh, yeah.
seeing that they are just coming right back on in. Insanity kind of struggled in the laning phase, but now that he's out of the lane, he's showcasing what Silas can do. It is able to stay in a lot of these team fights and just go for these 1v1s a lot of the time.
I will say, one of the things I hadn't considered about this game is Silas with a subjugate is disgusting. That's a problem for TSM.
Yeah. Definitely a problem.
I worry about
just having more stats on your death balls is good.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Oh.
And
Oh.
dodges. Okay. All right. Throws back the lance. They're going to defend their jungle at the very least, but they cannot stop the push. Instinct going to be trying to solo defend against Herald here, and actually, as Shenny hops the wall, Spawn is there to try and catch. They're going to be bringing everybody to this party except Tony Top. He didn't have the memo, but that's okay. He's not too worried about it. Shelly dishing some damage out on the turret. JJ walking away. And they won't claim first brick here, but they do get a lot of damage for relatively free.
Yeah, they don't really expend a whole lot there. Insanity does currently have Rel's ultimate, which isn't the craziest thing, but the XU?
Okay, Shenny walks into danger, but he's able to step out. I mean, nice thing about being a big stat stick is face checking is not quite as fatal.
Yeah.
as it was last time around on the Karma.
True, true. That's why a lot of our support players are just like, I don't like playing in Gingers because I can't go on warding missions by myself.
Yeah.
But I do like the patience from Dignitas, right? They saw that, they saw Shenyi walk in, and there are some teams that just like, oh, we'll take it. We'll just ult here, we'll take down Rel, but not Dignitas. They're like, Seraphine or nothing. Just like Nerf. It's Nerf or nothing.
My goodness. Didn't expect that one to be dropped, but I'm a 90s kid, I remember. Dignitas have been measured in their aggression, but here they go once again into the combo, finding Shenyi, and he's going to try to limp away, but they stick to him here, running a little bit out of steam as the tower shots come flying. Would have preferred to find Instinct in that, but Flash did get burned by the TSM bot laner. You have to keep in mind, Ignites on both sides for Dignitas, but you have to think the Flash is pretty high value.
For sure. Just seeing that they were willing to wait, right? They were looking for Instinct. They thought they caught him in the charm, and if they did, they would have won that fight. Instinct probably would not have been able to get out. So it doesn't cost Dignitas a whole lot to go for these plays. And now we're a minute 15 away from our next team fight timer, Pyre. Are you excited? We're going to be fighting over this Mountain Dragon.
I'm always excited, man. This is going to be a good one. Absolutely. So, maybe be a little bit... Well, I want to. The Shelly timer is a bit of a ways away, but that's okay. I think Dignitas
I think it's up, actually.
all the tools. Yeah, there we go. Have all the tools to do what they need on the map at the moment, and it's going to be so hard for TSM to find the angle because we've seen that Dignitas clearly understand what they're trying to do, and also the edges aren't anywhere else for TSM, right? If Soul gets the kill, that changed. He flashes away. There we go. Soul goes in one more time. The Fate Steel, and now it's going to be Dignitas getting revenge for the top laner into the last breath. The Wind Brothers do meet, but it is the Yasuo that finds the double kill, and at the time, they're going straight over to the Rift Herald, and that is trouble for TSM.
I am very confident that Tony Top meant to press his R button there, not the flash button, because he flashed right into range of the ultimate.
Everybody gets one. It happens sometimes. Oh, but Hyper, he may be big with the subjugate, and he just turned it around here, but I think Insanity and JJ are feeling pretty good about their chances to keep him locked up and away from this Herald, so they do get the secure on. Pings are happening. TSM motioning to go for the Dragon, but they need Soul to come back up. Off cooldown he is. But Dignitas getting everything on the objectives.
Yeah, Insanity, though, he's not able to participate in the upcoming Mountain Dragon fight. He has no teleport.
They're going to be able to back away at the very least, and maybe he'll come running if they keep this delayed, but this should be a TSM advantage on the positioning. Backing away as they put the wind wall out. So resetting, but it gives TSM Dragon control.
They have control, but they haven't started just quite yet. As TSM start getting into the pit, their battle lines are still a little confused. They are allowing Dignitas to establish their own battle lines, and Dignitas, they just want to get onto Instinct. That's all they care about.
You see Shenny looking for JJ Hex Flash. Burned on that one. Insanity going to try to move forward. It's a bit of a game of chicken right now. As TSM looking for the smite fight. XQ around the side. Here comes Soul, and it's going to get smited away by XQ. Now the fight is on immediately. They carve through Hyper. Did not get much of a chance to do anything here as TSM running for the hills. JJ took some damage.
Nice.
Took some damage. Doesn't matter. Second win. They're going for it yet again. Shenny's a tanky boy, but I don't know if he's going to last much longer. And it's Soul they turn their attention to. Look at the blinking health bars on all of the Dignitas members as TSM try to find the kills. They will get Tony Top. It's a 1-for-1 trade, though. Dragon goes to Dig as the Hex Gates save the day.
And Spawn able to find their way out. I love the patience coming from Dignitas, right? Spawn saving his ult until the re-engage happens after the fight, but they don't catch the crucial target. They don't catch Instinct. He's able to stand back, and even though TSM get 3 members caught up in the ultimate from Insanity, Instinct wasn't, and Instinct is the key to these front-to-back team fights. Dignitas have tried so hard, and the one time they go too early, cost them a member.
Yeah, that could have gone so much worse, though. Dignitas get out by the skin of their teeth, and TSM do not chase through the Hex Gates. I mean, that is... So many things have to go right in that exact moment, and they did. We hadn't even talked about the fact that it was a Hextech Rift that spawned immediately afterwards. Let's look at that fight again. XU on the Smite, they just don't have enough to get that Seraphine.
Yeah, I mean, Spawn didn't have the wind wall up or didn't throw it out in order to block the Seraphine Charm, and slowed everything down. But, they only get 2 members here, but the big thing is that even with the wind wall up, that doesn't affect Seraphine's ability to heal, and she just sits in the middle, and nobody can touch the Seraphine. And Seraphine just gets to free hit against a bunch of melee champions, and that is her dream situation. That's the way she wants to play in the first place. So Dignitas, they gotta be careful. I like the patience, but you do have to be very accurate when you play these kind of melee compositions. Now JJ.
Oh, he's gonna get caught out as well. But, double dashes. He's able to get out of there. Playing Mario Kart on this one. 18.5 minutes TSM to stop the Rift Herald. XU is going to be able to get another tower up top side. So, Dig still have the advantage here, Joshi, but it's definitely TSM fighting back. Yeah. Not on even
it's a tenuous lead. This game is still very much in the air, and if TSM fix a lot of the issues that they had from Game 1 in terms of establishing battle lines, they can come back. And the player that I want to watch is Instinct, right? He's been playing the Seraphine. While he doesn't have a whole lot of kills yet, he's got a Moonstone build. It doesn't do the most damage with this way of playing the character. If he's just allowed to free hit during these fights, he's going to be strong anyway.
That's true. All right. Stolen Encore from Insanity doesn't find takeover in that top side. Doesn't really matter here, though. Still Dignitas controlling the map in terms of objectives, but they've had to fight for a number of them. Drake Stack. Maybe not the fastest, but decent. Will be a Hextech Rift. That's a pretty good... If you want to chase down people, Hextech Soul's pretty good.
Pretty good. And now as they come in, this is one of the problems that they have. They got to dive.
Oh, JJ, he goes in, he goes out, but they do land the charm. Here comes that call to forward cut, only landing on Instinct as they run out of steam. XU's forced to burn Flash, and TSM stop the pressure in its tracks.
Yeah, and you're seeing the problem, right? TSM, they aren't worried about Dignitas slowly whittling down these turrets. Dignitas can't siege. They have to dive. And I love the fact that JJ recognizes that. They go for the dive, but then they're also willing to call it off. The amount of discipline you have to have in order to play this composition from Dignitas is astounding, and they're doing it quite well. So give the red buff over to spawn. We have a minute 20 until the first Hextech Dragon actually spawns, and Dignitas, they can get there first. We can see another wombo.
Absolutely. You also talked about big difference makers. I do want to shout out to Soul, who's gotten a couple of kills back in his pocket.
Let's go, Soul.
Yeah. He'll be pretty pivotal in some of the team fights as well. You saw he was able to lock up a number of Dignitas members in that mid lane when they could not chase down Instinct. It is protect Instinct, right? I mean, Seraphine's always the main character, as you mentioned. Maybe not the biggest damage dealer, but if you're Soul, yeah, you can absolutely bodyguard that.
And we also have to pay attention to the fact that Soul is their only real source of physical damage. Hyper is going to be taking away a lot of Tony Top stats. Okay.
Yep. Whack. Yes, he is. And he flashes forward even more, looking for Tony Top. Under tower, dashes away. Hyper throws the pillar with the teleport. They will temper their aggression and try to get the heck out of dodge here as XU is looking for an opener as the rest of the team comes to collapse. There's no tower. They've got to run for the hills. The rest of Dig is coming. There's the whack, and that's going to be all there is to it.
Even though Tony Top is forced out, they still have position on the upcoming Dragon, but TSM is already grouped up in battle lines. I feel like this is a very even situation between these two teams. You're walking through a choke against Dignitas' wombo combo, but your battle lines are still formed.
They're going to get the root on. enough damage. Jay playing very dangerously here, and he goes in for the quickness. Look at XU around the side, looking for the wrap-up, if they can step this fight up for the wombo combo. It's a little bit scuffed, but they have the damage, and they critically get Instinct in this one, and it should be a cleanup crew from here. Takeover trying to distract as the rest of the team runs. They do manage to take down JJ, who went a little bit too deep in that one, but with the position, with the lack of Seraphine, this should be Dignitas Dragon, but TSM, they're not done just yet.
No ultras, it's hard for them to get him. Nice charm.
Down goes Insanity. That's a game changer right here as TSM feel like they can go in to try and contest on this one, but the smite is right for XU, and now they look to turn once more. 3v3. Tense moment here as XU is going to take the Orb Deception. Tony Top goes in just to chase him off. Dignitas, every one of these dragons costs them more, but they're getting them every time.
And it's so close. The fight's going on a knife's edge, Pyro. Watching these two teams interact, we are still seeing individual highlights from people. Takeover charmed Tony Top out of the second part of his ultimate. Spawn had to hold on to the last breath for half of the fight, but when he does find it, it lands onto Instinct, and that's the important part.
That's massive. And right now, Spawn is going to be a big part of the win condition if they can find the fights. JJ yet again sets up the play and the wraparound from XU. I cannot speak highly enough of how he's put in the effort this game. His flights are always on point, but keep your eye as he waits for this one, looks for the setup, and they just don't have the opener after that. He gets stuffed for a second, but he still manages to find it. And Takeover, honestly, he just can't do much more for his team at this point.
True, I mean, Shen Yi not able to get in a good spot for most of the fight, and Dignitas, you know, you saw Tony Top's ultimate got canceled halfway through. The charm comes from Takeover, but even though Spawn gets hit by a lot of crowd control, he's still able to get into the middle of the fight. It feels like TSM aren't necessarily creating enough safety for Instinct.
No, that was one of the first times I think I've really seen it just sort of fall a bit apart. You got to be careful in those choke points where there's not a lot of options to try and cover. Insanity does steal the Encore away. I mean, that's going to be turnabout as well. They have a lot of CC tools on the dig side if they can get in the faces of TSM. So as we sit here, at just about 24 minutes on the clock, it's a tenuous but still solid gold lead for Dig. 3 dragon stack, it's Soul Point. In 3 minutes, things are going to get real hectic.
Yeah. I mean, that's the problem, right? You look at players like Instinct, and he's trying to find his way to play, but it looks like he's trying to play the Seraphine like a marksman. And Seraphine does not play like a marksman, right? You are even more important to your team than a marksman is. And so, Instinct needs to be playing even further back in order to create enough space in order to allow his team to stand in front of him very naturally. And I know he's a player that we have prided him on his ability to team fight on traditional AD carries, but I'm still going to wonder if this is the right way for TSM to play, just because it's not naturally the way either of their carries normally go about it.
I do think they're playing a little bit against the preferred type, and that is part of the problem, as the Encore does get sent out. Takeover's dodging away from Takeover, playing a pretty good distraction game this time around, as TSM will get the inside track on the Baron, but it's just for ward clear. They don't want to take the fight just yet. XU, woof, that's one way to dodge a charm. Gonna get the reset.
Yeah, a bit of fancy feet, and Tony Top. Remember how important the actual choke point was last time. Dignitas, they actually burn this reasonably quickly if they do choose to go for it, but remember, they can't do anything in half measures. It's very difficult for them to just sit there and hit the Baron. They have to go for the Baron as their primary goal, right? You're either turning or burning. You can't do the same kind of thing where we saw TSM going, you know, we can see and feel how it goes. No, you have to have a plan. And Dignitas has been great at that so far this game.
That they have. I do think, you know, we talked about how they have players with different levels of aggression that sometimes feel differently about the way the game should be played. This series, they have been on point with what they want to do. Few mistakes, sure. Maybe playing into the TSM Death Ball last time around, maybe you learn your lesson after that one. This time around, it's been even cleaner. And they have had the setups and also critically gotten the kills on who they needed to. Look at Spawn and Insanity's scoreline. Look at the fact that they're getting close to 3 items apiece. Starting to feel pretty good if you're the Dignitas side, despite the fact that you have a range disadvantage everywhere.
Yeah, it feels like playing short stack poker in a lot of ways, but Insanity on a flank.
Okay, he gets flanked himself, but gets a Magnet Storm for his trouble. Charm lands, not a whole lot of damage dealt on the back half. TSM going to retreat. Yeah, Silas getting caught is not always the worst thing. It's like, oh, you brought an ult to me, thank you.
Great, thank you.
I will take it.
That's mine now. You made this, I made this. So Dignitas, they are here first. They have control of the entrances to the upcoming Dragon and TSM. Oh, Soul. That was bold.
Yeah, it was. Still has a lot of escapes, though, as well. You can't afford to do that a little bit unless he gets interrupted. As you mentioned, Joshi, Dragon, Soul, we've seen this kind of tit-for-tat go back and forth up from the Baron pit now towards the Dragon pit, which is a much higher priority for Dignitas. And for TSM, they have to deny this. They cannot afford to give up the Hex Tech Soul. But they want to pick first. They want to try to get the play. They're not being given an opening.
And the first Ornn items are coming through. Spawn, incredibly strong. 4-0-4, almost on 3 items.
Watch Insanity.
But can they find their way in?
He has the Magnet Storm.
XU on a flank.
Just out of vision. Takeover trying to wrap around the side here.
XU on a flank.
This is tough. You got to keep your eyes. You got to know what's happening, where the jungler is. It's going to get started. Here comes XU. Goes in for the dash. They decide to go for the fight. Here comes the call of the Forge God. They've got him pinballed up, and they will nearly get hyper down. But the focus
Instinct's alive.
Quite there. That's the turnaround. They're split now. Spawn trying to get a second wind effort. Soul going to be chased out of this one, but that's the shutdown. Massive goal falls to Instinct. JJ maybe finishes Soul as Tony Top flashes the back of the pit. They try for the refresh here, but it's TSM that looks a little bit better right now. Tony Top getting shredded. Should fall soon, but Insanity drops Hyper. It's a bare knuckle brawl, but it's going to be TSM coming up with the kills, the double for the Yari as Instinct gets XU, the charm lands, and down goes the last remaining member, TSM. That was the fight they so desperately needed.
And for the first time this series, Pyra, we see TSM play around the Seraphine. It doesn't matter how many members of TSM get caught in the Honor Ultimate. It doesn't matter how well Spawn is able to press R following that first knockup. It only matters if you have people between Instinct and the rest of Dignitas, and Instinct played back. He played in the pocket. Nobody was able to get to him, and if you can't get to him on the first dive, you can't get to him at all. Watch where Instinct is playing. You get multiple man knockups. You get another knockup coming through, but Instinct, the only time he's touching this team fight is when JJ goes to knock him up. But Spawn, he can't do anything left. He gets there at the very end, but he has no damage left. He doesn't have an opportunity to actually burst them out. And from here, we get to see why Seraphine reigns supreme against melee champions. You can't touch me. You can't do anything. I have too much HP. And just slowly grinding it out, right? It's not super flashy, but there's no chance, as soon as the first ultimates miss, for TSM to ever lose this fight.
Man, all that body blocking was about as solid as a Samsung drive, is all I got to say. Well done for TSM.
Thank you, thank you.
That was, I mean, seriously, that's what we were waiting for 2 games now. This was brilliantly played. I also think Dignitas did a bit of an oopsie, in that a lot of the damage fell onto Hyper, I believe, in the beginning. Obviously, if you can't get to the backline, you got to choose what you can. But that's the first time we've really seen TSM do it. They cut off the Drake stack, critically important, as they were in danger of getting snowballed on. Also, Takeover stacking up some damage. He's got 10 stacks on the Dark Seal now, so he's going to be able to do a little bit more than just land the charms.
Well, he does plenty of damage, and his Everfrost... I don't know who got that. The Everfrost does so much damage, or not damage, it has so much control over the battlefield, which is exactly what TSM are looking for in these spots. And now we're seeing the tides shift. TSM, we're slightly behind so far, but that's why we said it was so tenuous. Pyra.
Gold is basically
TSM
even.
come ahead.
Yeah, this is crazy right now. TSM,
yeah,
they at 30 minutes have managed to flip, maybe not the entire game state, but certainly bring it right back. And they have got a breath of life in them, critically too. Not a whole lot of towers on the board here. They should be able to finish this one off in mid once they can get the play. They can probably poke this out as well. Soul getting pushed off. Yeah, there we go. Gonna get a little bit of damage. Pillar comes up, minions fall. I mean, that tower is about to die, and you'll collect on the gold. But critically, Baron's up too. They can try to fight for this one.
Exactly, and I feel as though, 17 HP.
Yeah, I was about to say, how many hit points is that?
Yeah, TSM are now favored from this position. But Dignitas still have a couple of last breaths. If they can still win a wombo combo around the Baron, if they can get a wombo combo and pick up the Hextech Dragon, and the Hextech Dragon Soul, we have a real game again. But TSM, it's on them. One of the things that we saw them struggle with earlier on was actually getting their team on location first, right? Almost every single time they've been trying to do a retake. The bomb has already been planted, and now it's on you to try and clear out all the defenders. Dignitas are consistently doing that, and they're looking for these cheesy flanks while Ari's up top lane.
Yeah, they are. Hyper going to step into this one, and they will not take the fight because he's not the one they want.
Yeah.
Unfortunate.
Unlucky. Sorry, Hyper.
That's
X's
okay.
taken, man.
Yeah.
That's actually why he covers Katarina every single time. For
Oh, is that why he does it?
Yeah. It's for his girlfriend. Her name's also Kat.
Oh, I love that. That's man, that is honestly that is adorable. I'm a big fan of that.
That's
Katarina
also
also getting buffed on the next
cat.
patch, if I recall correctly. Yeah.
Maybe. I haven't thought about that champion in a long time.
I haven't either, but I started seeing some rumbling about like that, and like Master Yi. I was like, uh-oh, this is going to be a new meta, isn't it? All right, but that's for the future.
Changes.
Yeah, Insanity trying to keep the wave clear. Charm does land. Takeover done a great job at keeping Dignitas at arm's length here. Baron, of course, always going to be sniffed at, but it's that dragon that's coming up in about 1:10 that Dig really want for the prize. Go again is the name of the game. Doesn't matter if you gave one over to TSM, as long as you pick up Soul, you get the advantage.
They already did. It was previously known as Anime Girl. Haha. But the other thing that we got to look at again is how are people farming, right? It's something that has been completely neglected because we've always been looking at the team fights, but Takeover's up 60, 70 CS. Soul is up 60, 70 CS. Spawn a very similar amount. So we suddenly have these really like lopsided gold numbers coming out from a lot of members. And Instinct, even though he's on low economy, this champion is still very impactful. So fighting these open spaces really benefits TSM because they can spread out. It's a lot harder to hit multi-man knockups.
That's true. You know, normally with the Seraphine, you want to try for the death ball, but it's definitely a little different this time around. TSM can just finally finish off that tower in the mid side. However, Dignitas have gone up towards the Baron pit, not aggroing it just yet, and TSM now know. But the position, TSM are the ones that are keeping Dignitas at bay for the Dragon pit. Shenny wrapping around a little long-sided there as Soul looks to cut Dig off. This could be the bluff.
No half measures.
This could be the flip.
Dignitas, they can't afford to take half measures. You're either all in or you're out.
Dragon is up here, Insanity on the flank. They're going to get two-man knockup into the Yasuo ultimate. Call the Forge God Dog. It's the 5v4 as Soul is not in the fight right now. Hyper going to go golden to buy a little bit of time, but do they have enough in the tank to finish him? That's the double kill there for Insanity as they find Hyper and Shen Yi. And TSM, they may have called the bluff, but they paid the price as Soul was not with the team in time.
The TSM, they weren't able to bring everyone over. They were split on their decisions, and Dignitas all in. They knew what they came for, but now they're out of ultimates.
They don't have ultimates. They don't have a smite. They don't have a support at this point. I mean, you can try to buy some time, but you're playing with fire here as Dignitas just shred through the final dragon, and they will claim themselves the Hextech Soul. TSM. Well, they are back to being behind here, Joshi.
Yeah, back in business for Dignitas. Dignitas still looking to try and end this out. Remember, as our gatekeepers, we kind of expect them to 2-0 this series from the very beginning. But this game has been back and forth. Dignitas with a very spicy composition in response to the Seraphine, and it is going the distance. They were teetering on a knife's edge the entire game. Dignitas, they've won almost every single flip. They are doing a good job pulling apart the TSM Deathball, but they need to do it one more time.
Here comes the Baron start, but Dignitas already back in action. Tony top-down bot does have access to the teleport to get involved. Looks like the Baron is going to be the flip. Tony Top actually not taking the teleport. There it goes, as they will expend that to try and get the chase down off Insanity on the flank side. JJ as well. TSM scattering as they look to reset. You talk about battle lines, Joshi. They want to choose them, and that wasn't one they would have. So we are going to get the reset here. TSM playing so careful. Remember, if they lose this, they get a winless 2 weeks.
Ooh,
you don't want that honor. That is dubious.
They don't want that. That is dubious for sure. Dignitas, though, I love the discipline. They bring Tony Top back, and they look at that, and they say, yes, that's a choke point, but we are going into that. You know who also loves choke points? Seraphine. Seraphine loves when melee champions are grouped up on top of each other because she can hit all of them. So Dignitas, they're coming right on back. No half measures. They are once again here in order to try and force TSM to come through these narrow gaps. They need to find their ways to come on in, and Dignitas, they burn this so fast.
You were talking about it earlier. They have a really great Baron trade if they full commit to it. It looks like they might be fancying their chances at the fight. As here comes Soul,
Hyper's on
Shenny,
the
and
wrong
Instinct
side.
around the side. Hyper is not in the position he needs to be. There goes the call. The Forge Gods, they turn. Immediately, they do find a lot of damage onto Hyper. Then they are getting everything. Why do half measures when you can do it all? But it's TSM that go in to try to face the fight, and they do find Tony Top, with Soul going deep onto this one, getting the double kill to take down JJ, doing so much work, as it looks like Dignitas may have overplayed their hand. Spawn can't get out in time, as even Shen Yi gets a kill. So the Baron goes over, but only 2 members keep it.
And that's what we said, right? You can't have a split decision from Dignitas. Dignitas, half of them turned for the fight, half of them kept hitting the Baron, and Spawn was not able to hit Pyra. Spawn didn't get to participate in this fight. He's most of your damage. He needs to get onto Instinct. He never had an opportunity.
No, and now it's going to be the big push here for TSM. They may not have a Baron-empowered minion wave, but they do have 4 members charging through, and they're going to send Shenyi back to stop a push from XU. This was a risk, and TSM, they are taking it all the way through for the first inhibitor of the game. After how things have gone, that is not what I expected to say.
No, not at all. TSM, it's also a 37-minute inhibitor, Pyra. We are going the distance in terms of the time on this game. 37, 38. And Pyra, now that the map is still mostly intact, oh, we'll watch this, but again, watch. Tony turns, but you see XU and Spawn, they're burning the Baron. And then XU, watch him go on the bottom side. He's looking for Instinct. You play so far back. Good job there. Never giving an opportunity. By the time XU ults, Spawn is way too busy dealing with the rest of TSM. The coordination isn't there. Half of them turned, half of them stayed on, and all of TSM was like, okay, we're just gonna fight you.
Second time, flips worked out in their favor. Not for the objective, but for the fight this time. And I cannot believe it. The game, the gold game, just about even. There is a soul difference. But you know what? That's okay for TSM because they've got a soul of their own. And he was pretty pivotal in that last fight.
There you go. Did a good job making sure that Spawn was in an uncomfortable position. But the Baron comes through, and for the first time, Dignitas are able to siege. But all of this is foreplay for the upcoming Elder Soul.
Oh boy. Okay, another tower going to drop. So a little bit extra gold on the Dignitas side. It's starting to get to that point where it matters less and less. Although do keep in mind one of those nice little things about Ornn is he makes your team a little bit better in the item department.
True.
Upgrades people.
Everybody's got them. Ornn and extra, it's about like 10%, just extra tanky on armor, magic resist, and HP. So he's.
Do you know the name of the masterwork items?
I know some of them.
Yeah, one of my favorites.
Grasp.
That one. Yeah.
Deicide. I don't know what Everfrost is. Bloodsworn Oath. And
it is Eternal Winter, by the way.
Eternal Winter.
Yeah.
And then I don't remember what upgraded Shurelya's is.
Okay. Which, by the way, this is probably going to be like, I don't know, the next Pentakill album name or something. But yeah, the Ornn items are always fun. We'll see if they make the difference going forward in this one.
Yeah.
As Dignitas still playing on a knife's edge. They have to watch that gaping hole in their top side. As TSM have proved that if they can set up the fight, I mean, you called it at the very beginning, the win conditions, all about setting the battle lines, all about protecting the Seraphine, because the Seraphine can just pump out the sound over and over.
You know what's crazy? You know, Riot values the Dragon Soul at around like 4,000 or 5,000 gold. Every Ornn item, you know, and then every Ornn item is like about 1,000 gold, right? So Dignitas, if you look at that, they're realistically up something like 12,000 gold, and the fights are even.
Oh yeah, that's just TSM being able to have that win condition. Here comes that call before
it's fine.
They're on 2 different fronts right now. They don't get the combo. His Instinct staying alive. Oh,
he's not fine.
Teleport now. He's gone. As they get the shutdown, Yoink come right back in. Elder hasn't even hit the rift yet. As there it goes. Soul will manage to find the kill on to Spawn as XU falls as well. It is just brutal back and forth. Takeover in the back of the pit buying time. As his teammates come back, he flashes over, shut down by the Silas, and in comes Insanity to try and make the play once again. And it is gonna come down to the wire. Soul versus Tony Top. Top on top. Everybody drops. What just happened?
Double
With the minions!
Pyra.
We gotta go up to the minions! There's nobody alive!
No, they're dead!
What's going on? They've got them! Are we gonna have a win-win game? Look at the death timers! Oh
JJ's up, XU's up. Okay, they defend
no, okay,
the
they're
game.
gonna defend.
They defend the game. The game doesn't end here, Pyra.
Oh my
but
word!
These fights so
you
close.
know, Instinct could have TP'd, by the way. I think he could have TP'd. Maybe it would have been a bad choice.
Maybe.
Oh my! I can't believe that.
This is absolutely wild. These fights are so crazy between these two teams, and we called it out. I was saying, Instinct's fine, Instinct's fine, Instinct's not fine, right? And suddenly, Dignitas have their way back into the fight, but they have to use so many resources to get onto this backline.
Oh my
and
God,
now,
right
Pyra, the best part, we get to do it again.
The bodies haven't even evaporated yet, guys. Give us a moment. There we go.
Bodies hit the floor.
Oh, gosh. JJ, gonna clear the wave away. Ward away, I should say, as they get everybody back into the picture. Soul, with the Hex Gates, you don't even need to use TPs. You can just get right up. You see Insanity gonna be on wave clear duty, but he has teleport if he needs it. Blast gonna take in different directions. XU waiting for the play. Look at Soul around the side. There's the Hex Gate. Here comes XU around the back.
Oh.
As the Dragon's been started, he goes into the pit.
Watch Instinct, watch Instinct, watch Instinct.
There we go.
We got him.
Looking for Instinct, yes, again. He stays alive for now, but Takeover gonna fall down. He goes, and Dignitas say we go again and find everything. The clean wipe. They don't even need the Elder. They're gonna run it for the base.
Oh man, Dignitas, it is such a tense game, but they come out on top. They understand they have one win condition. They need to kill Seraphine. Everything else is secondary. And XU, the Hex Gates, the flank coming through. He sets up spawn. They take down the core of TSM, and Dignitas maintain their status. They have gate kept TSM out once again. They take the Nexus in 43 minutes.
That is huge. Dignitas, man, TSM gave him hell, but that was the game once they landed the combo. GG's as Dig will keep their status, sitting there right in the middle of things and keeping TSM away from a single victory this week.
Yeah, Dignitas looking like some girl bosses right now, if I do say so.
They didn't even lock Renata this game. Holy moly.
There's no actual girl boss in this game, but it was a wild game. Back and forth, back and forth. Dignitas come out with a wild draft, right? They commit to the idea that they are going to go for these brawls, and they won, I'd say probably like 70% of them, but that 30%, Seraphine brings so much to a team, and it takes a Herculean effort, right? We saw how far back Instinct was trying to play in these later game team fights, and he was so close to being in a spot where he could carry TSM through and find a victory.
That was, honestly, that was incredible. That fight that just went back and forth constantly, and only the Elder lived.
Double ace.
I thought it was going to go even longer, but man, Dignitas just find the instant solution at the end to close it out. What an absolute brawl of a series that was. I feel like I need to catch my breath there, Joshi. I'm so looking forward to see what Mazel has to say, and you know, the interview's coming up after this. I think we're going to be going off to a break, but before we do, man, any last thoughts on that series?
It looked great. I love the growth we're seeing from Spawn in terms of his aggression, and I can't wait to see if this is what we're going to be getting for the rest of the summer.
Absolutely. All right, we'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to the Verizon post-game interview. I am Mazel, and I'm joined by the AD carry for Dignitas Academy. It's Spawn. Glad to get another check-in with you. First and foremost, thing I gotta ask, it's on everybody's mind, the double ace. What happens in team comms in a situation like that? Is there a bunch of chickens with their heads cut off? What's going on in that situation?
I mean, it's kind of like, it was a little hectic, but not too much. You know, as soon as I died, and then it was like Silas, Orn left, and we're like, okay, play with Insanity. You know, try to play with him. He was smurfing it. It was so close, right? And then he died, and we're like, okay, you know, Tony versus the Yon top, And I mean, if Tony died, we would have lost the game. I'm pretty sure Yon TP was up. So like that was just really close, but I mean, we take those.
Hey, you take those. And you come out with a 2-0 victory over TSM Academy. Second game, a lot closer than the first one, but this is your kickoff to the second round robin. How does it feel to start off like that in the second round robin here in Academy Summer to come out with a smashing 2-0?
I mean, it feels great. I think start of the first round robin, we started 4-0 as well, like 4-0. So, I mean, um, it feels great. So I feel like we need to keep winning, you know, not just, oh, we're just going to keep, because TSM, they're an okay team, but I think they're kind of struggling right now. So we just need to keep focusing on every match.
Do you have any thoughts about that first round robin? Do you have anything you feel like you really learned to bring into the second round robin, or general thoughts?
I think for us, we're we're gelling a lot better now. We got some more games with Insanity and Tony, and I feel like we're coming together, especially with team fights. We're trying to keep improving and play together. Yeah.
I like it. I like it. Well, I want to talk a little bit about the variances. We are seeing some of the meta adaptation through you guys. You're getting to play the Yasuo bot lane. I know before the interview started, you were excited to talk about that. So, how do you feel about the meta right now? Are you loving it? Is it interesting to you? Are you still trying to pick it apart?
I think we're kind of still picking apart. It's pretty interesting. I think when the meta ADs are banned, there's a lot more you can play. So I feel like if teams are gonna ban more ADs in any matches, there's gonna be a lot more unique picks.
All right. Anything you can tease to us? You got anything you want to let loose, or keep that all in the back pocket? What do you think?
Yeah, everything's a secret. So.
All right. Got some aces up the Dignitas sleeve. Well, speaking of, I mean, if you're gonna be relying on some fun picks, especially if the ADCs get dwindled down, it's gonna rely a lot on your synergy with JJ. How is it playing another split? You know, you've made it through halfway through another split with JJ. How do you feel like the synergy has been building? How do you feel like that bond is?
I feel like our synergy is really good. You know, we can just pull out the Yasuo Rakan, right? And we kind of know what each other's gonna do in the game. So yeah, I feel like we're playing well together.
Love it. I need to see some more duo poses between you two, though. That's all I'm saying. I'm calling it out right now.
We'll see.
Give you a time here. Give any shout outs, anybody you want to talk about before we let you go?
Shout out, my family and friends back home. Shout out all our sponsors and Dignitas. And shout out Toby Kwan, our manager.
I love it, Spot. We got a little break coming up, but have fun and have a happy 4th of July and come back ready for some more competition.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and bring back